Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of race number 5 of Season 63 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. Do not adjust your sets, ladies and gentlemen. You are not tuned into the wrong series here tonight. I know that we were expecting to see Aero 88 cars on the racetrack here at Talladega Superspeedway here tonight. However, the past week has been a bit hectic for pretty much leagues across the entire N 2003 spectrum. The main server, RLM Arena, that a lot of series use for their weekly series, it's been down, and it has not been able to resume as of yet. So a lot of teams have scrambled, a lot of teams have had to call off weeks, and RTG has been affected as well. They've been able to get everybody here together tonight in preparation for a 66 lapper. However, they had to go with the mod that was previously in the server. They couldn't swap over to the Aero 88, so instead tonight we are trucking at Talladega, as we'll be running the CWS 2015 truck. So you may see some drivers out there tonight that you're like, who is that? You may not recognize the paint schemes and everything. That's because a lot of audibles had to be called, a lot of stuff had to be put in the works. The admins did a great job in organizing everything. Rodney Sullivan's providing the truck pack here tonight so that everybody hopefully was able to have a scheme to be able to be shown on the broadcast this evening. So a lot of people put in a lot of effort to be able to make sure that this series continued on and didn't have to extend an extra week with an off week, because we're getting ourselves gridded up here in the booth. We're going to have to do things a little bit audibly as well. Obviously, we're going to kind of be reintroducing drivers to you here on the broadcast with their new paint schemes and whatnot. We're also not going to be able to keep you aware of what's going on as far as the points system, because Arla Marina also has the points calculations for all of the series for RTG, and that is not available at this time. We know Brian Schilling obviously is the points leader, and we know of our 4 previous race winners on the season, but outside of that, and talking about the 12th in the standings cut line and everything, we don't have that information readily available to us. But we have tonight 39 drivers that are getting ready to take the green flag, and Randy Waluigi, I'm going to say it once here tonight because my broadcast colleague Michael Norman has the tropical storm down there in Florida moving in and everything, unable to join me in the booth here tonight. He'll be alongside of Mark Paglia on the front row. Josh Metallic, former winner on the season, will be alongside of Bob Dixon in row number 2. Graham McDonald and Ken Roberts, they're back in row number 3. Ken, a former winner this season. Jeffrey Elliott and Kelly Causey, they'll be back in row 4, with Jessica Shelton and Ulysses Sandoval, the completion of your top 10. Bernie Mobbs rolls off in row 6 alongside of Mike Mangialardi, Doug Woolley, and Chuck McClure in row 7. Row 8 finds Cy Jones and Glenn Harris. Billy Ellis and Rodney Sullivan's back in row 9, with Chris Elliott and Greg Palmer completing your top 20. Dante Ricky in the field here tonight. He's going to share row... might have a bit of an issue here. Hopefully they get that sorted out. I'm not sure what exactly went on there. Left off on row 11, where Dante Ricky is alongside of Joe DeSpirito. Brian Lovell alongside of Richard Martin back in row 12. Row 13, Bobby Farrell and Brian Schilling, the winner of the season opener. Bob Seminaro, who won the most recent race last week, alongside of Jeremy Jeffries. That's back in row 14. And your top 30 completed with Tim Nofsker and Greg Lovell. Grant Wesley, he's back in row 16 alongside of Denny Carroll. Row 17, Jeff Crivello and Terry Bombard. Row 18 finds Jason Scheck and Brian Rawson. Row 19, Robert Breedlove and Javier Negron. And Donnie Garrett will bring up the 39th spot in tonight's starting lineup. 66 laps of racing here this evening. Drivers used on Thursday nights to running with the Aero 88 cars. Now going to have the bulkier, rectangular-shaped trucks to deal with in this evening's race. I don't believe we've ever had these trucks in the Talladega Challenge before. We had the NCTS 09 trucks back in the day here in this series, but I believe this is going to be a first, as the pace truck makes the turn onto pit road. And it's time to get race number 5 underway. We've seen a lot of winless streaks snapped in the last 3 weeks, from Ken Roberts to Josh Metallic to Bob Seminara. Do we see another winless streak snapped here tonight? Do we see a first-time winner? Or do one of the big guns finally get to victory lane and look to clinch a playoff spot? We'll find all that out as the green flag is in the air. We're underway, and Mark Paglia was ready for the green. He'll look to clear Randy Waugh into turn 1. Not going to be able to do it. 21, 39, 33, all lined up on that bottom line. They're going to have the momentum coming out of turn number 2, and Randy Waugh is clear onto the back straightaway. Already a move 3 wide up towards the front. That's Ken Roberts. Up on the top side, Jeffrey Elliott in the 56, the Talladega Nights Chevy Silverado, offering the drafting help. Kelly Causey up there, third truck in line in the 00. As Paglia stuck in the middle, Bob Dixon trying to offer the drafting help there. But both the inside and the extreme outside line is where the momentum is at. The second lane, I should say, more the proverbial sucker hole at this point in time. Bobby Farrell in that Kyle Petty throwback, or Adam Petty throwback, I should say, on that inside line. Got a little tight there on the bottom of turn number 2. Doug Woolley makes a move up there to the top in front of Ken Roberts. He's alongside of Bernie Mobbs for around the 5th position. Now gets up to the right rear quarter panel of Jessica Shelton in the 9. Somebody back there ducked out of line to make it 3 wide. Trying to make out who that is. That might have been Ulysses Sandoval in the 96, who now tucks back in line behind Kelly Causey. Top 3 single file on the bottom of the racetrack. Randy Waugh, Josh Metallic, Graham McDonald, and then it's Doug Woolley, Jessica Shelton for the 4th position. Double file from 4th place back to, looks like around maybe the 9th, 10th position. Then 3 wide. That's Chuck McClure up on the top side. The number 17 Scooby-Doo Chevrolet. Glenn Harris right behind him in the Coca-Cola number 8 Chevy. And then behind him is Rodney Sullins in the 38. Ulysses Sandoval's now jumped up to that 3rd line there in the 96. The Killian's, I believe that's a Dodge. Yes, it is, a Dodge Ram. Kind of crowding down Kelly Causey there through 1 and 2. Now does the same here to Jeffrey Elliott going into 3. That middle line has made some progress. Doug Woolley was alongside Shelton last we checked for 4th place. He has since now gotten up alongside of Randy Waugh to turn 4. For that top position. And look at Ulysses Sandoval on that 3rd line. Look at the momentum the 3 lanes have here. And we're going to be 3 wide for the top position. Randy Waugh on the bottom. Doug Woolley in the middle. Sandoval on the top. Randy Waugh gets the nice run into 1 and 2. Clears the 3 lanes that are now 3 wide from 2nd back to around 14th. Sandoval now clear of the middle line. Stays up to continue to help the draft with Chuck McClure, Glenn Harris, and others. Randy Waugh, I believe, is still clear of both the inside and the middle line. Ooh, Sandoval, whoa! Got really loose right there. And we got a couple around. Oh, Rodney Sullins up and over, almost up and over. Saw Jeffrey Elliott involved as well. Caution's going to fly. We got a big one just past the start-finish line. Oh, wow, look at this. Over in the middle of 1 and 2, bunch of drivers. I see Greg Palmer in the middle of that. I can't tell who that truck is facing the wrong way. That's Mark Paglia. Can barely just make out a 28 through the smoke. Jeff Crivello looked like he might have been in it. Chris Elliott there, right side of your screen, the number 09. Some of these drivers, it's hard to tell if they were in it or if they just came to a stop and got to the apron to avoid. Billy Elliser, I'm pretty certain, was in it. Looks like maybe Brian Schilling, former winner, might have been involved. I'm not 100% certain on that. Jeffrey Elliott, I know I saw go around. As the smoke lingers in the center of 1 and 2, the leaders make their way onto the back straightaway to pick up the pace car, or the pace truck. Let's go back and take a look at what happened. First couple of trucks I saw get out of shape. Jeffrey Elliott in the 56, Billy Elliser in the 26. So let's see if we will focus our camera on the 56 of Jeffrey. Oh, looks like you saw there on the outside line, Mark Paglia giving a bad bump to Rodney Sullivan, sends him down the track, and wow! That was some big hits right there. That was, I think, Greg Lovell getting spun into, and then they slammed into Jeffrey Elliott. There's some other drivers that I saw right there involved. Donnie Garrett, I know he got a piece of it. Grant Wesley might have been involved. Let's get some more camera angles here. Let's focus the 38 of Rodney Sullins. 28 of Mark Paglia right behind him, just going to give just the slightest off-center bump. Right there. Rodney's trying to check up for the 8 of Glenn Harris in front of him, and Rodney does get up on 2 wheels, doesn't go completely around, but then we have the flips there. Denny Carroll, Greg Palmer, they were up on top of Brian Schilling, so he was definitely involved. There you see Dante Ricky, Robert Breedlove right up against the wall trying to get by. Let's take a look at the 22 of Greg Palmer. There's the checkup, and then Kelly Causey slides up the track. Brian Schilling, Bobby Farrell also sliding up the track there. Denny Carroll also, and they just kind of squeezed Greg Palmer up into the safer barrier, and that's what flipped him up and into the air. You see a bunch of drivers dive to the grass. Joe DeSpirito got a tiny piece right there. Got clipped, I think clipped the back of Donnie Garrett, I think. Bob Dixon was spinning in the grass. So there were a number of drivers that got involved, but they didn't really make really bad contact. But the 4, the 22, the 41, I'd be a bit concerned about those drivers and how up to speed they're going to be. We're going to drop a little bit further back now. I want to find the 880 of Greg Lovell, because we saw him slide into Jeffrey Elliott. Let's see what happens with him. Tries to get to the inside, and then Bob Dixon comes flying in. Gets Richard Martin, and that shoots the 880 of Greg Lovell into Jeffrey Elliott. And then it's just a matter of try and snake your way through. Trying to figure out what we can have for the best camera angle of seeing the wreck with Greg Palmer and company. And I think the driver that might have the best available onboard for us, if we're able to even see it, might be Donnie Garrett, but I'm not sure. I don't know if we'll be able to see it through the smoke. We'll go on board with the Bama Buggies Chevrolet and see if we can even be able to see through the smoke the incident up here in 1 and 2. You can barely see it. Donnie dives to the bottom. He clips the 143 of Bob Dixon, and then as he's on the brakes, there's no grip in the grass, and that's what sends him around. Then I think right here, right there, he gets a little clip in the right rear quarter panel from Joe DeSpirito. But a bunch of drivers dodged a bullet here. A lot of other drivers took the bullet, as some pretty big hits, some wild rides in our first caution of the night. Should be getting the 1 to green this next time by. We've had everybody on pit road with the exception of Robert Breedlove, who is our new race leader. A few drivers have made multiple pit stops, obviously, to repair crash damage. But we'll get this restart more than likely on lap 11. Robert Breedlove will be the leader, Randy Waugh in second, Josh Metallic third, Ulysses Sandoval fourth. Jessica Shelton will line up fifth with Ken Roberts, Graham McDonald, Doug Woolley, Glenn Harris, and Jeremy Jeffries. Your top 10. At this point in time, no drivers out of the race. Greg Palmer is currently scored one lap down for the lengthy stay on pit road to repair damage, but scoring still has him still in the race. Some of the drivers that had multiple trips to pit road here under this caution period: Greg Lovell, Jeffrey Elliott, Billy Elliser, Chuck McClure, Kelly Causey, and the aforementioned Greg Palmer. Randy Waugh led the first 6 laps of this race. Bob Seminara stayed out and led a lap under this caution period before coming to pit road, and now Robert Breedlove has led the last 2, and he will be the one to get us back under green. She lights out atop the Chevrolet Silverado pace truck, and we will get ready to go back green on the completion of lap 10 onto lap 11. Well, the trucks that you see here tonight are normally run on Wednesday night, and we have covered races here on FRN before on series that run with this particular mod, but you have to wonder what kind of a period of adjustment these drivers might have to go through who are so used to running with the Aero 88 cars every Thursday night, now having to get used to the hitbox of these trucks. You go back to the incident that brought out our first caution. I know that a stack-up partially came into play for it, but a slightly uneven bump there from Mark Paglia to Rodney Sullins. This mod, maybe one of the easier ones out there in terms of super speedway racing, because if you look at the back bumper, the whole back of the truck, it is a complete rectangle. Like, it is very easy to figure out where the center is to be able to hit, and it's actually pretty forgiving too if you bump on the left or the right side. But when you have a stack-up going on and you're bumping unevenly, that leads to what we just saw for that wreck over in the tri-oval going into turn 1. But what kind of a period of adjustment is going to be going on here for these drivers and getting used to these trucks as opposed to the Aero 88 cars? As I mentioned, they ran trucks a number of seasons ago, but it was a different truck mod. This is the first time that they have ever run the CWS 2015 trucks in the Talladega Challenge. Well, here we go. Worked our first caution of the day and getting ready to go back green. Robert Breedlove gets us back underway. He will be at a fuel deficit. He was the only driver who didn't pit under this caution period. We do have an update on drivers involved in that wreck as well. Denny Carroll is a lap down in the 41, along with Greg Palmer. They were the two that got airborne up into the catch fence in turn 1. But both drivers are still running at this point in time. Jessica Shelton leading the outside line here against Josh Metallic for second place. She's got Randy Waugh as the drafting help. Metallic in the tire tracks of Robert Breedlove with Graham McDonald behind him. Shelton with the big run through the tri-oval. I believe she sniped that lap. Yes, she did. Shelton with the bonus point there. She edged out by about a full wheel over Robert Breedlove. Breedlove battles back, though. They'll be dead even coming out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. Who gets the bigger run? Who gets the bigger push? Took a little bit of time for Randy Waugh to get back up there to Shelton, but Shelton clear for the top spot, it looks like. on the inside line. And when we ended up going back green, I noticed the 22 of Greg Palmer was very much so not up to speed, and he has brought his truck to pit road. I've also just seen Denny Carroll come to pit road, and they have both made the left-hand turn to the garage area, so they will not reach the conclusion of this one. 38th place will go to Greg Palmer, and 39th to Denny Carroll. Again, we don't have the points available to us, so cannot speculate on how that would affect both those drivers in regards to the playoffs, as this actually tonight begins the second half of the regular season. Last week was the halfway mark. 4 more races, including tonight, until that playoff grid is set. Greg Lovell might be slightly off the pace. We saw him take a pretty big shot in that wreck. Whoa! Car up the track! Or truck up the track. That's Graham McDonald. Got the wall through the tri-oval there. Oh, and now we're wrecking ahead of him. That's Terry Bombard, Javier Negron. And there were 2 areas where a wreck occurred. Caution's out, and we've got some trucks flipping. Billy Ellis's up and over. We ended up having 2 separate wrecks in almost the same identical area of the track. Javier Negron and somebody else were one of the wrecks. There was a wreck about 5 trucks up ahead of them as well. And the caution's going to wave for the second time here tonight. I believe it was Terry Bombard and Javier Negron that we saw there get together, but there was another incident up ahead of them, and the wrecks almost happened simultaneously, as Shelton's going to bring us back here to the yellow flag. Randy Wall, Ulysses Sandoval, Ken Roberts, Jeremy Jeffries going to be your top 5 here under the second yellow. And let's go back and figure out what happened. Let's go back to the incident we initially... Actually, we'll go even further back. Let's find out what happened to Graham McDonald. This didn't bring out the yellow. But something happened to the 33, who was racing tight with Robert Breedlove through the tri-oval. Let's see if there was contact made. Ooh, yeah, a little bit. A little bit of hitbox there. Graham up into the wall, keeps it pointed straight, and now we're going to focus up here. Javier Negron. Oh, Bobby Farrell comes up and tags the 10. Jason Scheck got involved. Grant Wesley was in it. Mike Mangialardi. Rodney Sullivan's involved in another incident. So Bombard and Negron had nothing to do with starting, at least the incident there towards the back of the pack. It was the 92 of Bobby Farrell that actually got them both. Watch here again as we go back. Watch the 92 on the inside line. The red, black, and silver car. He gets the apron, shoots up the track, clips the 10, who then gets the 40. Graham McDonald in that. Cy Jones, Bob Dixon. Look at Kelly Causey stopped right there in the middle of the racetrack. Wait for everything to settle out. Brian Schilling, Chris Elliott, Jeffrey Elliott. I think I also saw Mark Paglia there. So let's find out what happens further up ahead. I think I saw the 31 of Bernie Mobbs around. Let's try and find him. There he is. There's a truck down in the apron again below him, and that's Donnie Garrett. Does Garrett come up and get the 31? Yep. That's exactly what happens. Jeff Crivello nowhere to go. He then comes down, gets Bobby Farrell, and... Oh, Jeffrey Elliott goes up and over after a little contact from Kelly Causey. That's Tim Nofsker right there, right side of your screen. The silver and black 088. Brian Rawson making his way through. Let's see if we can focus it on the 56 of Jeffrey Elliott. Watch left side of your screen. 36 gets the 92. Seminara spins Brian Schilling. Joe DeSpirito took a good shot into the outside wall there. There he is, spinning down to the inside now. See if we can move our cameras a little bit further forward. Find the 4, 7, 12, 24. This was behind Terry Bombard. Oh, and then Schilling gets a tap from behind by Nofsker. Bounces off of Bob Seminara. There's Chris Elliott. And you saw Joe DeSpirito, right side of your screen, go up and into the wall. Well, I know I said this about the Aero 88 cars, but I'm going to say this about the CWS 2015 cars as well, or trucks. Very deceptive in terms of how much damage a driver has received. A lot of those hits look like they were pretty big ones. But we're going to only have to wait until everybody's up to speed to find out if anybody's off the pace or not. We do have more drivers back behind the wall after this one. Jeffrey Elliott, Jason Scheck, and Greg Lovell. They will get credit for 35th through 37th. They join Greg Palmer and Denny Carroll in the garage area. No cars a lap down at the time of that yellow, so there will be no free passes. DeMar stayed out to lead a lap and then came to pit road. Turns the lead over to Grant Wesley. We'll have to wait and see if Wesley will indeed remain out to lead us to green, or if this is to stay out and get himself a bonus point for a lap ledge. You see lights are still on atop the Chevy Silverado pace truck. So we're going to step aside for an FRN race break and then be back for the green here. Nearly a third of the way through the race here tonight in race number 5 of Season 63 of the RTG Talladega Challenge Series. Don't go anywhere. Coverage continues right after this from Talladega. Getting ready for our second restart of the night here as we welcome you back to FRN's coverage of the 5th race of the season for the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. We're trucking at Talladega here tonight. And Randy Wall gets ready to put us back under the green. Pole sitter has led 7 laps so far here tonight. He'll be alongside of Jessica Shelton, who's led 4 laps so far this evening. Ulysses Sandoval coming off a victory yesterday in the S63 Icebreakers Online Series at a superspeedway test course. And he'll be alongside of Ken Roberts in row number 2. Jeremy Jeffries will share row number 3 with Brian Lovell, Josh Metallic, Doug Woolley back in row 4 with Glenn Harris and Robert Breedlove completing your top 10. You saw during our FRN race break, Grant Wesley stayed out, got the bonus point for a lap led, made the dive onto pit lane. Saw Chuck McClure also dive onto pit road with him. Rodney Sullins, Bob Seminara, a number of drivers. Topping off the fuel tank there. Hoping that this thing can go into a long enough green flag run for it to matter. So far, 2 yellow flags, 5 drivers back in the garage area. 34 drivers remain, all 34 on the lead lap. Randy Waugh, good jump. Maybe a little too good. We'll have to wait and see as he gets us back under the green. Jessica Shelton with the 55 of Ken Roberts right on her back bumper. Going to have a nice run here through turn 2. Randy Waugh is clear of the top. Will he move up there or will he stay to the bottom with Ulysses Sandoval? That middle line has been strong here tonight. And it's going to be strong here again. Shelton alongside Randy Waugh for the top position. Talked about the fact that there might have been a period of adaptation for these drivers with these trucks here this evening. Makes things a little bit easier with the wild card, the curveball thrown into these drivers' wake. For drivers like Ken Roberts, Bob Seminara, Brian Schilling, Josh Metallic, knowing that as long as they stay in the top 20 in points, their wins previously this season locked them into a playoff position. They don't have to worry about tonight if they end up on the end of a tow hook. Just as long as they stay in the top 20 in overall points, which none of those 4 were in any way in danger of falling out of the top 20 in points coming in tonight. That much I know. I know I don't have the point standings in front of me, but I know that none of those 4 were in any way in danger of falling out of a playoff position. Shelton edging ahead through 3 and 4. Randy Waugh, Ulysses Sandoval, Jeremy Jeffries doing a nice job on that inside line of staying alongside. Look at the inside line battle back again. Going to be close here at the line. Shelton's going to get the lap led by just the minusculest of margins. Inside line. Shorter way around the track through 1 and 2. Edges ahead. Half a truck length to Randy Waugh. Almost clear. Let's see if Shelton, that middle line surge on the back straightaway. And we're starting to formulate a third line back there. That's Robert Breedlove, Kelly Causey, and that's it. Nobody else for the time being up there to help the extreme outside line. Joe DeSpirito stayed to the middle. Nofsker stayed to the middle. Got a few trucks shading up to that third line a little bit further back. Chuck McClure, Bob Seminara, who came to pit road at the 1 to green to top off. So now they're trying to make forward progress. Shelton not quite clear, but she'll get another lap led. We'll drop back here to the 3 wide battle. Robert Breedlove right now leading that top line. Terry Bombard in the middle. Jeff Crivello on the bottom. Really broken up there on both the middle and the inside line around that area. Now Terry Bombard dives down to the inside line. Look at the gap from Tim Nofsker, the black and silver 088. All the way back to, who is it? I don't even know. They're so far back, they're out of our camera shot. It's Cy Jones. Looking at scoring, I don't think anybody is off the pace majorly. Mark Paglia has lost the draft. He's been involved in a couple incidents tonight, so he might be the only one that is slightly off the pace, but Rodney Sullins, Grant Wesley, Chris Elliott, Donnie Garrett, who I know have been involved in at least one of the 2 wrecks so far tonight, look like they are all still up in this lead pack and up to speed. As you saw Shelton dip from the outside line down to the bottom, right in front of Randy Waugh. That now puts Ken Roberts as the leader of the outside. Splitting 3 wide around 7th, Doug Woolley in the middle. Robert Breedlove to his right, Josh Metallic to his left. Paglia has indeed lost the draft, and now it's looking like Rodney Sullins may be in danger of doing the same. Might be a case for the 38 where he needs somebody behind him, pushing him for him to remain in the draft. You can see him right there, top right of your screen. He is fading from the tail end of this group. I was looking back there at Rodney Sullins. I didn't see how Ulysses Sandoval got in front of Ken Roberts. I think he was third truck on the inside line, moved up to the top, and now he's looking for the push to get to the race lead. It's been an interesting couple of weeks for Ulysses Sandoval. I mentioned about the fact he's coming off a win last night, but he also, a couple of weeks ago, was in the hunt for the championship in the Primetime Racing League Friday Night Super Speedway Series. Finished runner-up in that championship battle to Graham McDonald, but gave it a heck of a try. So Sandoval's been in some high-pressure situations the last couple of weeks, and now looking to capture his first checkered flag of his Talladega Challenge career here tonight. We're so used to seeing the white and blue 96 truck, but here tonight he's got the Killian's sponsorship on the 96 Dodge. Number of drivers running trucks that they've run previously in other series that run this mod. Other drivers having to run some generic, some unfamiliar territory. Obviously, everybody's got an F2, a driver's list, to be able to see where they are in relation to other people, but you gotta wonder what kind of an adjustment they have to go through in recognizing a different looking truck with a different looking livery as opposed to what they're used to seeing every Thursday. I mean, you look back there at Glenn Harris in the 8, the Coca-Cola sponsorship. We're so used to seeing him with the Krispy Kreme car or the Good Wrench car. Some drivers have same sponsorship that they have over with the Aero 88 cars, but maybe slightly different looking paint scheme. I mean, you look back here at Bob Seminara in that 712. I mean, we're so used to seeing him with a much darker blue on his 712. That's almost a Pillsbury blue, if you will, on the Town Fair Tire Chevrolet tonight. A lot of these trucks, you blink and you're not necessarily certain who it is. I mean, Joe DeSpirito back there in the 24, the Pepsi Max truck. We're not used to seeing that. Tim Nofsker. I'm kind of used to seeing Nofsker's machine like that because he actually had a paint scheme very similar to that in a previous mod, not the Aero 88 cars. Aero 88 cars, he runs the, what is it, the, I asked this question, I think it was last season too, of who the driver was. I got told, and now I can't remember who it was. It's the, I want to say Ralph Earnhardt, but I know that's not right. Whoa, Joe just make that Bob Seminara with a little side to side there. Almost hitboxed off of the 9 of Jessica Shelton. We've documented the issues that Seminara has had with internet, but tonight it runs a little bit deeper. Obviously, as mentioned, my broadcast colleague Michael Norman unable to be with me. He's down in the Florida area that is right now being hit with the high winds with the tropical storm off the Category 4 hurricane forming, Helene. And a number of our RTG drivers here tonight are down in that area as well. Bob Seminara, Donnie Garrett, Joe DeSpirito, Bernie Mobbs. So a lot of them hoping that their internet and their power holds on here this evening. Approaching halfway. Trying to remember what lap we went back green. I believe we went back green on, I want to say lap 14 or 15. So we're getting close to when these drivers are going to have to start thinking about pitting, and we're seeing a lot of drivers kind of dive down to the inside line now. I think we're about maybe a little less than 10 laps away from when these drivers are going to have to come to pit road. And I was noticing these drivers, some of them making green flag pit stops, and I don't know if it's just me, but it almost looked like with these trucks, like they had a little bit easier of a time getting onto pit lane than they do with the Aero 88 cars. And Granted, it's practice, so they might be a little bit easier coming to pit lane than they would be under a green flag race pit stop. But I don't know, it just kind of seemed like they had a little bit easier of a time of it. We'll see if that's the case if we do get to that round of green flag pit stops. We'll see how they do. Jeremy Jeffries is now the new race leader. And the number 1 car, former champion. Trying to find victory lane for the first time this season, lock himself into the playoffs. Ulysses Sandoval has slotted himself now into second behind the Monster Energy Chevrolet. Ken Roberts right now in the 3rd spot, and Bob Seminara moves down in front of Jessica Shelton. He's going to head up an inside line here. He's got Shelton, Randy Waugh, Robert Breedlove. I don't know if this is necessarily these drivers trying to make a charge to the front or making absolutely certain they don't get pinned out to that outside line when the green flag pit stops come around. Taking advantage of that inside lane available to set themselves up for when they eventually do have to come to pit road. Ooh, little contact there. Ulysses Sandoval into Bob Seminara. Ken Roberts going to let him back in. I don't know if that was the case of the 96 kind of pinching the 712 down or the 712 with maybe a little bit of warp. Could be a combination of both. Whoa, car around, I think, back there. Someone got loose. I think it was Grant Wesley. He saved it, though. We stay green. That truck almost looked like it was 90 degrees the wrong way. How he gathered it back up, I'm not sure. Great job there by Grant. And I think he will at least stay with the pack, but wow. I thought we very nearly were going to have our 3rd caution, and though to be fair, if Grant had gone around back there with the direction he was facing, if he had actually spun out, I'm not necessarily certain it would have brought out a yellow. He probably would have spun down below the yellow line and they would have remained green. So he was lucky he saved that on a couple of counts, as leaders are about to catch the 28 of Mark Paglia, who is off the pace. He's been involved in both of our previous cautions so far tonight. And he is going to fall a lap down. We do have another driver out of the race. About 6 laps ago, Rodney Sullins brought his machine to pit road, and he has retired out of the event. Rodney will get credited for the 34th position, joining Jeffrey Elliott, Jason Scheck, Greg Lovell, Greg Palmer, and Denny Carroll behind the walls. A half dozen drivers out of the race as we have crossed the halfway threshold. Well, next week, folks, not sure if it's going to be the Air 88 cars again or if you're going to see these trucks back on track. Also not 100% certain if we're going to end up seeing these trucks or Air 88 cars at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway or back here at Talladega. I know the mod can't be swapped. I don't know if they have the ability to be able to change the tracks during the course of each evening, so we'll wait and see what happens. But as of right now, be sure to join us next Thursday night as we continue on the home stretch of the regular season in preparation for the playoffs. Will we have a 5th different winner here tonight heading into next week? As of right now, you've got, it looks like, 8 non-winners up inside of the top 10. Bob Seminara and Josh Metallic, 2 former winners currently in the top 10. Seminara in 2nd. Metallic right now side by side with Brian Lovell for 6th. The only former winner we don't have right now up inside of the top 15 is Brian Schilling. And we know he got some pretty good contact, had a truck up on top of his truck over in turn 1 under that first caution. Truck appears to be up to speed, but we haven't really seen him make any moves up to the front. As you see a couple of drivers hit pit road. Bob Dixon, the 143, Bernie Mobbs in the 31, and I believe Chris Elliott in the 09 has also come to pit road. So we're going to see other drivers hitting pit lane here maybe as soon as this lap. With 30 to go Hands out the window. Let's see who makes the dive. Could be a big group of drivers coming to pit lane. Let's see how they do making a pit stop with the trucks. So far, so good. Like maybe about 20 trucks on pit road altogether. They all made it on safely. Now the question is, did they all get it woed down in time? Speeding police will be ever vigilant here. As Terry Bombard stayed out, so he'll get himself a lap led. Got about 9, 10, 11 trucks up here in this group that probably will all pit together. Few drivers in this group that we know pitted at the 1 to green under the previous caution, including the 17 of Chuck McClure. And the 6 of Brian Rawson. And here they all come to pit road together. Oh, Graham McDonald pretty hot coming in. Oh, he made the commitment line, though. Wow, I thought he was going to have to blow right past pit road entry, but he made it on. Wow, nicely done. Mark Paglia, lap truck going to join them as well. Looks like Seminara may have won the battle off of pit road of the first group. Where did Seminara have his pit stall? Oh, back in stall 27, so he was quite a ways back there on pit road. And we'll try and keep an eye on drivers that may or may not have been hit with a speeding penalty here under this run. Hopefully nobody gets hit with a speeding penalty. We'd like to see them all bunch back up here, still have a shot at it. Jeremy Jeffries trying to latch onto these two, and whoop. Then you got the bigger pack back here with Shelton, Causey, Woolley, Breedlove. They're going to catch the top 3 very quickly. They got Richard Martin in this pack, Ulysses Sandoval, and Glenn Harris. Cy Jones, Brian Rawson, Joe DeSpirito coming back out on the track. Here's the drivers from that second group who pit. Looks like Dante Ricky may have been the fastest of that group, but look at Seminara and Roberts up to speed. Seminara's going to jump to the outside of the Canada Dry. I think that's a Toyota Tundra. Yes, it is. And Seminara, Roberts, Jeffries go 1, 2, 3. Ricky will slot into 4th. With Josh Metallic in 5th after the cycle green flag pit stops. Black flag, 40 of Javier Negron. Oh, we got a wreck in the back, Demar! And Joe DeSpirito. Caution's going to come out. Uh-oh, look out, look out. We got oncoming traffic. Hold the brake, wait for them all to go by. Oh, Bernie Mobbs got the 24. Oh, I thought that Joe was going to be fine. And I don't know why Bernie changed his course. Everybody had a lane to the bottom. I believe Javier just served his penalty. So the timing of that yellow was perfect for him. He'll stay on the lead lap. But field is frozen, and Seminara is now leading them back around. They just now have taken the caution. Remember, the leaders were past the start-finish line when the 24 and the 43 got together. So now they'll pick up the pace truck on the back straightaway. So go back and take a look at a replay. Cannot change the mods, but can change the tracks. All right, so that's our confirmation right there. Regardless of what mod they'll be running next week, we will be at the Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Appreciate that, Ray. And let's see if we can figure out what exactly happens here with Joe DeSpirito and Richard Martin. This one was kind of odd. Demar trying to get to the outside of Joe DeSpirito, and then hard to tell from that camera angle if one came down, one came up, or if only one driver changed directions. Then watch this right there. You've got Graham McDonald, I think that was Randy Waugh that go by. And right here, I don't know why Bernie Mobbs comes up the track. The only thing I could think of is maybe he starts getting on the brakes. And when you get on the brakes, especially going into a corner, the truck goes straight. And when it goes straight, it goes up the track. That might have been what happened with him. Because that's the only thing I can think of. He didn't hit him hard, so he was definitely on the brakes. Take a look from an aerial view. See if we can figure out what happens here. So here they are through the tri-oval, and then... Oh, yeah, looks like 43 kind of comes down. At least from the aerial shot, that's what it looks like. Spirito hits the wall there again, and then we'll take a look here at the shot and see just how bad it was. It was a graze into that left front. Don't know. I don't know how badly that's going to affect Joe DeSpirito for the remainder of this race or not. He was crossing the line, I believe, 12th place. And they will take a look at the 24, see what kind of repairs they'll have to make. Looks like he's down and away. And surprisingly, we had a number of drivers that dove onto pit lane. They were just on pit road about 5 laps ago. But majority of the field came down pit road here. Now, the only reason why they would do that is to change the amount of fuel they would have to take on the final pit stop. If they stayed out and we went back green, you're probably looking at them having to take a full can of fuel on the final pit stop. If you come to pit road here, even in the next lap on the potential 1 to green, on your final pit stop, you're only going to have to probably take a half can of fuel. And time means a lot in terms of time saved on pit road. It translates into positions on the racetrack. So we'll see how it pans out. I believe Tim Nofsker, Doug Woolley, Brian Rawson, Ryan Schilling, they did not come to pit road here under this caution period. Chris Elliott is a lap down. He'll hit pit lane. Richard Martin's coming to pit road second lap, which I believe is him taking responsibility for the caution. We'll have 2 lucky dogs, Elliott and Mark Paglia, so our remaining 33 drivers will all be on the lead lap when we go back green, but a bit of a split strategy here. About a half dozen drivers electing to stay out. Majority of the field coming to pit road. And all in potential preparation for the final pit stop of the night. First laps led this evening by Tim Nofsker in the 088. We'll see how this strategy plays out for him and some of these others. When we go back green, we're going to step aside for an FRN race break. Then we'll be back here for the conclusion of tonight's 5th race of the 63rd season of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series right after this. Green flag will come out with 23 laps to go outside the fuel window for these drivers to be able to make it the rest of the way. But you saw there during our FRN race break, a number of drivers dove to pit road at the 1 to green, including 3 of the drivers from the top 5. Ken Roberts, Brian Rawson, and then race leader trying to remember who the race leader was. Roberts was was Roberts the leader? No, Nofsker. That's who it was. Nofsker, Rawson, and Schilling dove onto pit lane. Also saw Jeremy Jeffries, Josh Metallic, and a number of others dive onto pit road. Doug Woolley, he was saving a lot of fuel here under this caution period. He'll get us back green as he elects the top. Big stack up on the inside line. Ken Roberts is around. Is the caution out? I don't think so. Nope. Pace truck remains stationary. We stay green. As Jeff Crivello did not get going, they stacked up on the inside line, and Doug Woolley pulls away by a pretty big margin. Well, Ken Roberts very lucky he's got that victory this season. As now Seminara dives to the bottom with Donnie Garrett for the top spot on Doug Woolley. Ken Roberts, though, he's definitely hoping for a yellow flag to catch back up. You saw also Mark Paglia and Chris Elliott getting the lucky dogs back on the lead lap. So all 33 remaining drivers on the lead lap at this point in time. Doug Woolley now drops back to 5th as Shelton moves to 3rd. Dante Ricky into 4th. Now 5th place under contest, Glenn Harris to the inside of Woolley for that spot. But Cy Jones having a great run there in the Sunoco, I was going to say Chevrolet. I'm so used to him being in a Chevy, but that's actually a Ford right there. Top side, Jeff Crivello, who had that slow restart. He's now slotted into the 8th position, now battling for 7th with Cy. Let's check in on the 55 of Ken Roberts. Yeah, he's still going, but he's going into turn 3 as the leaders are midway through the tri-oval, so he is a long ways back, and nothing but a caution is going to be able to save him now. Be able to get back into this and try and become the first multi-time winner on the season. So far, 4 races, 4 different drivers have gone to victory lane. And we've had a number of drivers this season that have snapped long winless streaks. Some snapping winless streaks of about half a year, some snapping winless streaks of 2 to 3 years. Dante Ricky to the bottom. No takers to go with him. He's going to go backwards. Might find a slot right there in front of Jeff Crivello, which he will do. Goes from, I believe, 4th back to 6th. But tested the waters on the inside to see if anybody else would go with him, and had no dice. 3 wide, almost 4 wide back here. This is a hornet's nest. Javier Negron in the middle of this. Whoa, Demar. A little squirrely there, up the track. Tim Nofsker, who pitted at the 1 to green from the lead in the middle of all this. Robert Breedlove, Brian Rawson, Josh Metallic, Ulysses Sandoval. This is bedlam back here in this area. Looking up ahead of them there, that's Jeremy Jeffries shooting the gap up the middle on Brian Lovell and Cy Jones, trying to get a little draft off the back of Grant Wesley, and it's going to work. You'll get both drivers. Brian Rawson almost into the door of Robert Breedlove there. Now he's getting freight trained. Graham McDonald further back. Trapped up on the top. Randy Waugh on the bottom with no drafting help. Mark Paglia, who just got the lucky dog, looks like he's losing the draft again. Billy Elliser has lost the draft. Bob Dixon has lost the draft. When we went back green, it was with 23 laps to go. Some drivers didn't come to pit lane They had only run about 5 laps past the round of green flag pit stops. So expect to see some drivers hit pit road somewhere in the vicinity of 8 laps to go. That'd be around lap 57, 58. Other drivers, they can stretch it quite a bit further. We may not see them on pit road until somewhere around lap 60 to 62. But a lot of those pit stops are going to be determined in the amount of fuel that will be necessary to take to get to the checkered flag. For some drivers, they will have to take on a can of fuel. For a number of the drivers that pitted at the 1 to green, they may be able to only stay on pit road for a half can. Potentially, depending on how far they could stretch it, they might only have to come in for a splash of fuel. We'll have to see. You know that usually a half can of fuel will get you 5 laps, a full can of fuel will get you 10. Splash of fuel, I think, gets you 2 to 3 laps, if I remember correctly, with the CTS fall off. I don't think anybody can make it that far. I don't think anybody can get to lap 63, 64. But you never know. Could be somebody back there rear of the field that's saving. You remember the first race we had here, beginning of the season, Brian Schilling defied the odds, had just enough in the tank to coast across the start-finish line to pick up the first win of the season. Nobody else was able to save enough fuel. All had to hit pit road in the closing stages. So somebody back there might be looking for a little case of deja vu 4 weeks later. Bob Seminara looking for back-to-back victories here. Off the heels of finally snapping the long winless streak last week. And I can't remember the exact number, but he had closed up with his victory as well. He closed up the gap for the regular season points lead. Of course, the regular season championship pays out 15 bonus points when the playoff grid is put together. That's equivalent to 3 wins during the season. And a number of drivers had their eyes focused on that. Got to think with already finding victory lane, Seminara looking for the consistency to potentially get those 15 bonus points at regular season's end. And he has also now jumped to the top of the leaderboard in most laps led tonight. That last time by was his 11th circuit out in front, snapping a 3-way tie that would have been between him, Jessica Shelton, and Holsteter Randy Waugh with 10 laps led apiece. So now Shelton and Waugh tied for second place. 8 laps led for Jeremy Jeffries, 3 laps led for Robert Breedlove, 2 apiece for Doug Woolley and Tim Nofsker, and then 1 lap led apiece for Dante Ricky, Terry Bombard, Ulysses Sandoval, and Richard Martin. 3 cautions so far here tonight for 13 laps. 33 drivers still running, all in the lead lap. 6 drivers back in the garage area as we close in on 10 laps to go. And we've got an inside line beginning to form. Back around the 7th position, Jeremy Jeffries, Brian Lovell, Robert Breedlove trying to make something happen on the inside line. Josh Metallic there as well. Making up some good ground there on the entry through the center of the corner. Let's see if they can maintain it on the straightaway. Saw a driver dive onto pit road there. I couldn't tell from the back of the truck who that was. Might have been Ken Roberts in the 55. And that is exactly who it is. Roberts going to go a lap down. Is this a regularly scheduled pit stop for him? It looks like it. Oh, we got a wreck on the back straightaway. Brian Lovell, Dante Ricky. And caution's going to come out, and this means everybody's going to be able to make it on fuel now. That was around the 8th position. And Ken Roberts, well, either way it would have worked out in his favor. He would have either just barely have stayed on the lead lap at the time the caution came out, but now he will get the lucky dog. after going a lap down. He's the only driver -1, so he'll get the free pass. I believe we raced back to the caution here. I believe it's at 15 to go. It's race back. And Seminara will pick up the pace truck on the back straightaway. Fourth caution of the night. Everybody's going to be on pit road here for their final pit stop for fuel. We'll see what the fallout of those pit stops are here, but let's go back and find out what exactly happened on the back straightaway. We were so focused on the 55 of Ken Roberts, figuring out what the strategy was there, that we missed the initial contact. It was around the 7th, 8th position, and here it was. Watch the 931 on the inside, pushes up the track, catches the 84 of Dante Ricci in the left rear quarter panel, and he in turn has a domino spin into the right rear quarter panel of Brian Lovell. Those drivers were running 7th, 8th, and 9th at the time. And now they will fall back to outside of the top 20. There's another look at it here. Watch the Pepsi truck on the inside line. Does he get the apron? Nope, just starts pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. And the contact is eventually made, and not that bad a contact for Dante Ricci with the left rear quarter panel, but Brian Lovell noses his truck into the outside wall. Couldn't tell if Robert Breedlove spun into the inside wall or not. The tire track's headed in that direction, but he might have been able to get it woed down before making any contact. We'll focus on the 931 here just to see. Nope, he definitely got it. Broadsided it with the right side of his machine. Nice job by everybody else to scatter to avoid the spinning 043, as his truck was migrating down from the racing surface to the apron. And so we will end up getting our restart with less than 10 laps to go. Dante Ricci going to stay out and lead a lap here. Robert Breedlove there as well. Might be a little indecision as to who that caution might have been on, both taking the safe route and pitting second time by. Ken Roberts in the 55 will undoubtedly stay out, though he is the free pass car. And it looks like Donnie Garrett won the battle off of pit road against Bob Seminara and Jessica Shelton, who will be the top 3. Problems for the 143 of Bob Dixon. Let's go back and see what happened to him. We're hearing a mechanical failure for the STP Ford. Let's see if we can find exactly where that occurred, as I believe he was in the process of trying to catch up to the field on the back straightaway going into turn 3. And right there. No downshift. Don't know if maybe damage from an earlier wreck might have led to the mechanical issue, but Dixon had just caught up to the tail end of the field there, and the engine gave up the ghost. So Dixon's going to be out of the race and finish in 33rd. Tough break there for him. He had made it almost to the end of this one. Had remained on the lead lap up to this point, but he's going to join another half dozen drivers back in the garage area, including Rodney Sullins, Jeffrey Elliott, Jason Scheck, Greg Lovell, Greg Palmer, and Denny Carroll. Waiting on the pace truck to turn out its lights to indicate when we're going back green. Lights still on, so we'll have at least 2 more laps of pacing, which means we'll probably get the green probably around 8 laps to go. Now, Ken Roberts will be back on the lead lap. So that means that the proverbial point of no return, where the race would, the next flag would end the race, whether it be the caution or the white flag, would be at the completion of lap 62. Not that far away from when we restart. Be about 3-4 laps away. Have we seen our last caution of the evening? Not sure. So far, 4 yellow flags here tonight. I'm also trying to remember back to the speeds that we were carrying with the Aero 88 cars. And maybe I just didn't really pay attention, but here tonight, fastest lap of the evening, set by Jessica Shelton, 47.803, translating to 200.128 miles per hour. These drivers have crested 200 miles per hour here tonight. Can't remember if the Aero 88 cars did that. It's the same physics. It's still CTS physics. But as I said, and this is just a personal opinion, but it seems like the trucks are easier to push and lock bumpers with than the Aero 88 cars are, just in terms of the spaciousness, the roominess of the hitbox, and the boxish flat back bumpers that the trucks have. And that may have played a part into the high speeds that we have seen in terms of lap times for the drivers here tonight. Lights should be going out. Yes, they are. Ken Roberts goes around to get his lap back. Donnie Garrett will get ready to put us back under green. Donnie looking for his first win of the season. We talk about drivers with winless streaks. Look at some of them that are up here towards the front. 77 of Donnie Garrett, the 9 of Jessica Shelton. Randy Wall in the 21 back there. Glenn Harris, Ulysses Sandoval, drivers that have never picked up a Tally Challenge win. They've still got a shot at this thing. Nothing's set in stone yet. Still got a lot of racing left to go at the big 2.66 mile superspeedway. It'll be Garrett the leader, Seminara in second, Jessica Shelton third. Brian Rawson up to fourth, three-time winner last season. Jeremy Jeffries in fifth. Josh Metallic looking for his second win of the year. He's sixth. Randy Waugh, the pole sitter, looking to go coast to coast. He's seventh. Joe DeSpirito in eighth. Kelly Causey ninth. Glenn Harris completing your top 10. We'll take you a little further back with Sandoval in 11th. Richard Martin 12th. Chuck McClure 13th. Bernie Mobbs and Doug Woolley complete the top 15. And then it's Grant Wesley, Brian Schilling, Tim Knopsker, Graham McDonald, and Chris Elliott, your top 20. 32 drivers ready to finish this thing out, with Roberts getting the free pass, all 32 on the lead lap. It's a question now of what flag are we racing to? These drivers can make it on fuel. Fuel is no longer a concern with the timing of that previous yellow. If we get past lap 62, caution would end the race. If we have a caution prior to lap 62's completion, we would get yet another restart to finish out the evening. So if we get to that lap 62, we'd stay with the leaders. If the caution came out, we would watch the race back to the start-finish line, and we'd look back at any necessary replays either during the pacing laps or post-race. But Donnie Garrett in that Bama Buggy Chevrolet, the Chase Purdy skin, getting ready to bring us back to the green. Good jump on that inside line. Shelton with a good push. Jeffries with a good push to Shelton. Inside line will motor ahead going into turn number 1. Garrett's going to have a choice here. As he moves to the top, Shelton's going to move up to the outside line. Garrett will do the same. They'll pick up Bob Seminara. Now Jeremy Jeffries will be the leader of the inside line. 3 wide movement back there. Richard Martin, Bernie Mobbs up to that third lane. Apologies for the stutter we got there. Not exactly sure what's going on in that regard. Hopefully that sorts itself out. It might be on the server side. We saw Donnie Garrett bring it home on the podium last week. Moved him up in the point standings. We're going to cap off this week with a checkered flag. Shelton in tow. Seminara right behind there in third. Brian Rawson in fourth. Brian, we're so used to seeing him not qualify. Last year it worked 3 times to pick up checkered flags. This season has not had that kind of luck. We even saw him last week shake it up a little and actually qualify. This week went back to the non-qualifying effort. Started out back in 36th. And up here at the front. A lot of movement mid-pack there. Drivers fighting for every position possible, knowing that that point of no return is drawing near. Top 5, single file in that middle line. Jeremy Jeffries, Ulysses Sandoval for 6th place. Sandoval has Chuck McClure. Jeremy Jeffries has Randy Waugh. Inside line does not have the momentum down the back straightaway. They are losing ground quickly. Now McClure will cross down to the bottom and try to pick up Jeremy Jeffries. Let's see if that's going to help the inside line at all, who are rapidly dropping back. Randy Waugh's now going to abandon the inside. He'll move up to the top side, fill in the gap right in front of Joe DeSpirito. Been a great showing tonight by Doug Woolley out in front for a few laps. Solidly inside of the top 10, a former champion of the series. Right now battling for 7th with Chuck McClure. As when we come to the start-finish line, we will have crossed the point of no return, and the next flag will end the race. Ooh, Seminara with the side-to-side. Oh boy, that's a bad time for this to happen. And we got a wreck in the back. Caution is out. We're racing back here to the line. Now we're coming to the completion of lap 62. We didn't cross for lap 62 and then the caution came out. Is this the end of the race? I don't know. We may get a one-lap shootout because everybody's on the lead lap. The wreck was towards the back of the field. We didn't see it, but I could hear the tires squealing. Whoa, Doug Woolley, where are you going? Yikes. He saved it. We're good. Didn't hit anything. I don't know if he got a bump from behind or what. But the leaders had not hit the stripe at the completion of lap 62. So we may get back green. If we had a lap down car, this race would be over. No questions asked. But we might get a one-lap dash. Robert Breedlove, Jeff Crivello back here. They may have been involved in this. Let's go back and take a look. No one's coming to pit road outside of maybe changing tires if you're at the rear of the field involved in the wreck, or maybe repairing crash damage. Your leaders will not be hitting pit road here, just on the off chance that this race does actually end under yellow. Oh, we had ourselves a flip, actually, out of turn 4. Breedlove, Roberts, Ricky all trying to make some moves. Mark Paglia moves up, door bangs the 931. Oh, and Ken, who had just gotten back on the lead lap. Whoa! Not only in the air, but then gets shot forward by Bobby Farrell. Mike Mangialardi, Billy Ellis are involved in that. This was a big wreck. There's Crivello going off to the left. Chris Elliott right there in the forefront. I think these drivers realized that we were coming down to the end of this race. Paglia with a hip check to Robert Breedlove, and it did not pan out. And then just nowhere to go for Ken Roberts. Elliser gets spun down to the inside. I don't think he hit anything. Oh, man. Mike Mangialardi almost got through, but then the left rear of Ken Roberts just catches the side of his machine and flips him up in the air. Let's get one more look here. Let's follow the 36 of Jeff Crivello, see how he got involved. He was behind this, along with Bobby Farrell. We know Farrell gets into Roberts. Oh, so too does Crivello. Actually, it was Crivello who gets the 55 first, then Bobby Farrell, and then right there, Billy Elliser spun, and Crivello's going to get him too. Crivello wanted everybody to taste the rainbow there in that wreck. And that brings out the caution. So now the big question is, what do we got? Is the race over? Do we get a one-lap shootout? That's the most we're going to get is a one-lap shootout. We will not get a two-lap shootout. This much I know. If the lights go out this time, we get a one-lap dash. If they do not go out, the race is over, because we'll be coming to 2 to go. Mark Paglia and Chris Elliott were not able to drive their trucks back to pit road to get repaired, so they are out of the race. Chris Elliott will get 31st, Mark Paglia 32nd. Oh boy, what do we got? Donnie Garrett, I know he'd love to see the lights stay on that pace truck. A lot of other drivers would like to see them go out, give them an opportunity to gain a couple more spots here before the conclusion of this evening's checkered flag. Survey says lights remain on, so race will end under caution. And Donnie Garrett is going to snap his own winless streak, and he will be going back to victory lane here in the Talladega Challenge Series. You go back to the final pit stop of the evening. Donnie Garrett able to win the battle off of pit road. He had the very first pit stall to the entrance of pit road, the last pit stall on the grid. Started out back. Bob Seminara, who he beat off of pit road, had a pit stall midway down pit lane in stall 27. But Donnie Garrett able to win the battle off of pit lane, and that was the difference maker. He had Jessica Schultz and Seminara behind him for a good portion of that final run. Caution comes out at the right time, and Donnie Garrett's going to be going to victory lane. Donnie was one of a few drivers here tonight. We talked about the helter-skelter that admins and drivers had to go through in making sure that this race even happened this evening. And Donnie was a driver that was having a lot of difficulty staying in the server, kept falling out. Well, they got it fixed. And he gets the ultimate reward here tonight as he'll be taking home the checkered flag. Shelton's going to have a good points night. She's going to stay up inside the top 10 in the point standings. Seminara's going to have another podium finish. Brian Rawson, nice to see him back up towards the top of the running order as he'll be credited for 4th. And Ulysses Sandoval is going to get the 5th position here this evening. Josh Metallic 6th, Doug Woolley 7th. Randy Wall, after starting on the pole and leading 10 laps tonight, he'll get 8th. Chuck McClure and Joe DeSpirito going to be the completion of your top 10. Well, I think Donnie Garrett's trying to make us question if he's got enough fuel to make it to the end there. But I'm pretty sure he does. White flag right there was just displayed over the hood of his Chevrolet Silverado. So, at a bit of a painstakingly 70 miles per hour. They'll make their way around Talladega one more time and then see the checkered flag. A couple of drivers with some good comeback runs here tonight after being involved in some of our issues this evening. Joe DeSpirito had that contact between him and Richard Martin, had a little bit of further contact from Bernie Mobbs, but he gets 10th. Bernie Mobbs will get 13th. Brian Schilling, who had a truck land on top of him in the opening stages of this race, he'll finish in 14th place. So a few drivers that didn't have the best of luck in the opening stages of this race, able to bounce back for some pretty decent points days. Now, Seminara is still going to get the bonus point for most laps led, but there will be 4 drivers tonight that will have led double-digit laps. You don't see that very often. We'll usually see maybe 2 drivers that lead in the double digits. Usually 1 driver will dominate in the laps led category, but here tonight, had several drivers out in front, and several drivers out in front for a good portion of the evening's festivities. It's also going to be interesting to see what the shakeout will be as far as the bracket challenge is concerned heading into next week. This week, the second week of the bracket challenge. As Donnie Garrett, who last week helped get Bob Seminara to victory lane, this week it's his turn. As he'll cross the start-finish line, he'll snap a winless streak. It's our 4th driver to snap a winless streak. And Donnie Garrett is going to pick up the victory here tonight. Shelton made him think about whether she was going to cross the line first or not. But Donnie's going to bring it home with the victory. His first of the season. We talked with him last week. He said he wanted a win bad. He was going to miss a couple of races here in the regular season. Needed that win to ensure he was going to be going playoff racing. He gets it here this evening. And he wants to get back to that start-finish line as quickly as he can. He wants to be able to do some burnouts here. Oh, oh no. That's one way to do a burnout. Did he kill the engine? Yep, he did. And then everybody piles in. Money shifted off turn 4. And he'll just have it stuck in the grass. That's okay. Pretty sure his crew will run out there and be willing to push him to victory lane. Supposed to see smoke out of the rear tires in a burnout. Not from underneath the hood, but Donnie Garrett with the victory. And we'll head now and take a look at your full finishing results this evening from Talladega Superspeedway. We ran you down your top 10. Jeremy Jeffries going to bring it home in 11th. Glenn Harris, good run in 12th. Mobbs 13th. Schilling 14th. Graham McDonald will finish in 15th. Cy Jones was 16th. Tough night for Grant Wesley and Tim Nofsker. They're 17th, 18th. Kelly Causey had a great qualifying effort with the random qualifying draw, but he'll end up 19th. Javier Negron battles back from the pit road speeding penalty to finish in the top 20. Richard Martin was 21st, 22nd. Terry Bombard, Dante Ricky, Bobby Farrell, Mike Mangialardi, your top 25. Then it was Billy Elliser, Jeff Crivello, Robert Breedlove, and Ken Roberts. The remainder of the drivers on the lead lap. Tough night there for Ken after he got the lucky dog, got involved in that follow-up wreck. Brian Lovell will finish one lap down, last car running. And then out of the race were the drivers Chris Elliott, Mark Paglia, Bob Dixon, Rodney Sullins, Jeffrey Elliott, Jason Scheck, Greg Lovell, Greg Palmer, and Denny Carroll. Again, unfortunately, we can't kind of give you an overlook of how this might shake out as far as the point standings are concerned in that battle for the regular season championship. Hopefully by next week we will have that information for you and whatnot, but we do know who our top 3 finishers are, so we are going to head into our FRN post-race wind-down, and let's see if we can dial up our top 3. See if we can get a hold of Bob Seminara, who brings it home in the 3rd position, 1 week removed from his trip to victory lane.
User was moved.
Hey Bob, Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you. How you doing, Seth?
I'll tell you what, pretty good momentum here for this 712. You snapped that winless streak last week. Good consistent run tonight, finishing up inside of the top 3. I want to go back because it kind of seemed like maybe the turning point of this race was that final pit stop. We saw you come into pit road as the leader. You come out in second behind the 77. At that point in time, it kind of looked like the strategy was staying behind Donnie, at least until you guys got down to the end of this one. But in order to kind of work that strategy out, how'd you guys finagle that restart to get all lined up?
Yeah, I took half a can. He may have gambled and took less. I don't know. He beat me out of the pits. And that was pretty much it. I was racing Jess for the bracket. So I was kind of stuck there. Who am I going to go with? So I'm kind of happy the caution came out. So I'll take the 3rd, but it was a good race. I missed 2 big wrecks. 2 of them I was right in the middle of it. So yeah, I passed a lot of cars tonight, or trucks.
Definitely did. As you said, a lot of big wrecks here tonight. A lot of drivers that came into tonight running well in the points, not getting the finishes that will help keep them up there in the conversation for the regular season points lead. However, in your case, I'm trying to remember back. Obviously, we don't have the points available to us. I think you jumped up to 4th in points, if I'm not mistaken. So you're obviously going to be taking an even bigger step closer to that. Maybe the overall points leader. I'm not 100% certain, but I remember talking to you last week after you'd been to victory lane saying, what do you have next for the goal? And you said the consistency for that regular season championship was one of those things. Was that also a priority for you here tonight in making sure you stayed up there inside of the top five?
Yeah, I mean, I qualified 27, so I was back there. A lot of guys tonight. So yeah, I was just trying to get a top five, and not get have Spectrum control my race. Warped a few times, but not enough where they sent me to the back, so I survived. But yeah, I was just running hard and just let it fall the way it is. I know some guys had trouble, but yeah, I'm probably a little ways back, but fourth will be good for now.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. I mean, here tonight we were able to get this race event going, but a couple of modifications had to be made. Thursday after Thursday, for the past couple of seasons, you've been used to jumping behind the wheel of an Aero 88 car. Tonight, you drivers are out there in the truck. So, was there a period of adaptation? Was it a little bit easier tonight than it is with the Aero 88 cars? I mean, where were you on the side of the spectrum in terms of comfort here when you guys took the initial green?
Oh man, I love this truck. I thought it was much better. A couple of guys before the race were saying what the problems were, but I did not agree. I did not agree with them or Joe. So we ran well. I hope we do it again next week. But I know a lot of guys put effort in just to get us running tonight. Sean, David, Jeffries and Rodney and John Godfrey and Josh and Schilling, just everybody, Timmy. The monster effort for us just to even race. But I really enjoyed it. I've run this on Monday nights, and I've won a couple of Daytonas there with this truck. So I enjoyed it.
Well, it didn't matter what kind of a car or truck it was, back to back. Great finishes for you here. Now in the midway portion of the regular season, some really good momentum down this home stretch in preparation for the playoffs. Congratulations on the great run here tonight. Out in front, led some laps as well. Before we let you go, Bob, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, thanks, Seth. I'll just tell you, Jessica had to leave, so I don't know who else you're going to pull up besides Donnie. But yeah, thanks FRN and RTG and everybody makes this happen. Shaq and the Dixons and Donnie, everybody putting the money in. Appreciate that. FTMF, Mobs Motors, Bernie's Paints, and Q and LC. We'll be back next week.
Bob Seminara, off the heels of his victory last week, third place here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. Congratulations once again on the great run. Hopefully this consistency continues next week.
Thank you, Seth. Have a good week.
User was moved
And
out
you
of
heard
your
there from
channel.
Bob. We're unfortunately not able to get our second place finisher, Jessica Shelton. However, our fourth place finisher is here in the TeamSpeak, so why don't we see if we can get a hold of Brian Rawson. It was nice to see him finish back up inside the top five. He's been hitting a bit of bad luck here beginning of the season. Let's see if we could dial up the driver, the number 6.
User was moved
Hey,
to
Brian,
your
set up here in
channel.
the FRM booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. How you doing, bud?
Doing good. I'll bet you're doing good as well. I mean, we talked about the fact that, last season, multi-time winner, got to victory lane for the first time in your career, in the playoffs, in the hunt for the championship. This season's been tough, it seems like, in the opening stages for you, but finally a good run here tonight in fourth place. I mean, I know it's not a win, but how good is it to be able to get to the end of one of these things and at least be up there in the conversation for the victory after the tough start?
Ah, man, it feels good, man. The first four races were really tough. It seemed like I was caught up in every wreck, and even tonight I was in the first three. So I guess the fact that I'm in the position I was is kind of a miracle. But congrats to Donnie for the win and all the good runs, man, and all the admins. It's been a tough last 2 or 3 days going on with all the RM things and fun times, man.
Now, we were talking last week about the fact that, we're so used to you playing the strategy of starting at the back, working your way to the front. We saw you do that last season, all season long, and it worked out in your favor. Last week was an anomaly because we actually saw you put down, you actually ended up staying in the server and not taking an EOL towards the very, very back of the pack. You started a little bit further up in the field. Uh, was that just to try to shake things up a little bit, try to change your luck? Because we saw you kind of go back to the old strategy tonight.
No, actually, I got caught up dealing with my son. He was talking to me, and I just missed it. But I got out tonight and it worked out for me.
Definitely did. Well, great to see you have a good run here tonight. Hopefully, this helps you climb up through the point standings here. We obviously aren't able to know where you are in points heading next week, but hopefully, in the conversation to be up there potentially into the top 12, if not into the top 20, and maybe see you win your way into the playoffs in the next coming weeks. But a step in the right direction with fourth place tonight. Brian, before I let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout outs.
Hey, I want to thank everybody at RTG, Jeremy and Rodney for all the work they put in the last couple days and all the admins. And thank you, Seth, for the good broadcast. And thanks for all the racers, man. Have a great time. God bless everybody.
Ryan Rawson, fourth place here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway. He'll look to continue this consistency next week down the home stretch of this regular season, looking for another playoff berth in the Talladega Challenge. Best of luck, Brian. Congrats on the great runs this evening.
Appreciate it, brother.
User
All
was
right, let's see if
moved
we can
out of
dial
your
up
channel.
the Nature Boy, Donnie Garrett. I believe his crew has finally pushed his truck to victory lane. Let's see if we can get a hold of him there.
User was moved
Hey,
to
Donnie,
your
Seth
channel.
up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I mean, we talked with you last week. You had the great podium finish, the momentum coming into tonight. You get that victory. I remember you mentioned that you wanted that win last week because of the uncertainty of the number of starts you were going to be making during this regular season. You finally get it here tonight, but you couldn't save the engine for a burnout?
No, I had, my God, what a roller coaster night, man. I think I made it in with about 5 seconds with all the problems I was having with the core, and just was, basically flustered at the beginning, and just kind of settled down and just, kind of regrouped and drove that thing to the front.
Yeah, we talked about that with you having the issues of staying in the server, and because of that, it started you out back in the random qualifying draw. However, first one to your pit stall, and the first one off of pit road on pretty much the money stop, the final stop of the night. Now we talked just moments ago with Bob. He thought you might have gambled, gone with a little less fuel. Was that the difference maker there, or were you just clean in, clean out?
That was what I did. I did a splash. I think he probably did a half. It called for a half a can, and I was sitting here doing the math in my head, and I was like, man, if it get this caution, if another caution comes out, I was short. I mean, but I took the splash, and when I got back, it was, I mean, literally, it was changing. As I was taking the start finish line, it was changing down a lap, and so I was going to run out, probably right there at the start finish line. But I had enough, and yeah, but it's like I say, I did come out a little bit less, and then I made it up under the cautions and all. But I had to make a move. I mean, I'm desperate. I'm going to miss a few races, and I got to take these chances. You can't run a normal season if you're going to be out for a few. You got to make moves that people aren't making. Do what they do, the different thing that they don't do, and sometimes it pays off. And tonight it did.
Now, one thing that a driver absolutely hates is uncertainty and the anticipation of said uncertainty. Now, we had with all the drivers on the lead lap when that last caution came out, we had where there was a possibility that we could have a one lap shootout. How uncertain were you that you might have to hold them off for one more lap? And how relieved were you when you saw the light stayed out in that pace car coming around to two to go?
Yeah, everybody was congratulating me, and I was like, not sure yet, man. It's going to be close. And we ended up, like I say, when I saw that white flag come out, man, I was so happy, and I knew it was over. And all I had to do was limp that thing back home and get me a win. But yeah, like I say, man, it's a crazy night. You got to think. I don't know if you know what was all going on with the servers and stuff, but you got to think. Prime Bones, Jeremy, and Dante, Rodney Sullins. I mean, all these guys put in, hours upon hours of work to get this thing to where it was tonight. And Dante and all them, and even Tim helped me a lot there, right there before the race, or I wouldn't have made it. I was getting ready to give up and go watch the football game, and they said, no, come on, let's just keep going, and I did, and thank God, because like I say, I got in, started 40th, started dead last on the field, but played that gamble there at the end and paid off and got that win.
Now, we've seen the last to first done last season with Brian Ross, and you pull it off here tonight. Congratulations on the great run and sticking it out to be able to pick up the checkered flag here this evening, Donnie. We'll now hand it over to you for victory lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
You got it, buddy. Hey, got to thank Prime Bones, all that they do, and these guys, man, they just don't get the credit they deserve for all the stuff they do behind the scenes. And got to think something I've been forgetting is Rodney Sullins and the paint jobs. This guy, probably the best painter out there, and he paints all my cars, trucks, anything I drive, he paints it. And like I say, Rodney Sellens is the best out there, and got to thank him. Yeah, like I said, gotta thank the Bad Boy Buggies coming on the truck tonight, and I'm driving a truck for them, and they want me to shake this thing down. I tell you what, might drive this thing next week, and maybe get rid of my other truck there, and maybe bring this thing back out. So, all in all, great night, man. I'm just kind of speechless right now, and that was a hard fought win, especially how it started, and finished great, but man, it started rough.
An Honore Spire driver here tonight, Donnie Garrett, as he picks up the victory this evening, snaps a long winless streak himself. Unfortunately, I can't go back and see how long the winless streak was for you, but we've been on a streak of winless streak snappers here in the last 4 weeks, and you become the next in that. Congratulations on the job. Well done, Donnie. Hopefully this gets you into the playoffs here with the uncertainty for you in this upcoming remainder of the regular season. And hey, maybe this isn't the last time we talk to you in Victory Lane this season either. Best of luck for the remainder of this regular season and in preparation for the playoffs and the championship battle.
10-4, I got to change this up tonight. Usually I go give you my woo at the end. I meant to do this last week, but I didn't. I said, Wally!
There you go. A little change up there from tonight's race winner, Donnie Garrett. Congratulations once again. Go enjoy the victory.
Thanks, sir.
User was moved out of your
So
channel.
that is 4 for 4 in driver snapping a winless streak. First, it was Josh Metallic. Then it was Ken Roberts. Actually, I think I got out of order. I think it was Ken Roberts. Then it was Josh Metallic. Then it was Seminara last week. And now it is Donnie Garrett here tonight. 5 races, 5 different race winners. Things are getting a little congested in terms of the playoff positions, and obviously you got to think that things are still awfully close around that 12th in the standings cut line. Hopefully we have our points next week, but again, we can deal with not having the points here tonight. We can deal with the fact that these drivers are not in the usual mod. As everybody has echoed here tonight in these post-race wind-down interviews, and I'm going to completely reiterate it, a lot of effort put forth by a number of people here in RTG, whether it's in making sure that there was a server tonight, making sure that everybody ended up being able to get into the server to be able to race. In the case of making sure everybody had a truck to be able to be seen here tonight in the broadcast, and also in the communication that they had with us here at FRN to make sure that we had everything in place to be able to have the broadcast here this evening. I mean, tremendous effort overall by everybody to make sure that there was a product here tonight for you to be able to tune in and enjoy. Hopefully everything gets back to normal by next week, but if it doesn't, you can better believe that these RTG guys are going to be on it in making sure that they are prepared in whatever comes their way to have the product ready next Thursday night once again. We will be at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Not sure what mod we'll be in, but hopefully you guys will join us at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the green flag to fly in race number 6. 3 races remain here in the regular season till the playoff grid is put together, and Donnie Garrett is your latest driver to go to victory lane here this evening at Talladega. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Hope that you will join us next Thursday night. Until then, though, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you